Okay. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh. Now, we finished the first part of UAE society and Islamic culture. So all the previous chapters, 5, 6 chapters that we talked about, they were about UAE economy. They were like about the location, history, and it was focusing on UAE and geography and tourism. Now, in the second part, we will be discussing the Islamic culture. Now, this is the first chapter. It's easy and you know it already, I know, but it's just a reminder. And this is a quick summary of what we have discussed in the class. Now, aspects of Islamic culture. Now, in the aspects of Islamic culture, we will be looking at different aspects. The first one is the economy in Islam in general terms, because we will talk about it in detail in the next chapters. And we will talk about the 5 pillars of Islam. We'll talk about ijtihad in general terms, and we will talk about the Muslim behavior. We chose only like 4 different behaviors. Like there are many good behaviors that Muslims should have, but this is like some of the things. And then we'll talk about the cosmetics and adornments for men and women. These are the major aspects that we'll be discussing in this chapter. Again, this is only a summary. So the economy in Islam, it includes these 10 components. The first one is the ownership. The ownership it has 3 different types of ownership. The absolute ownership, everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially the things that you can't own, like the earth, like the sky, the stars, the moon, the sun, the air, the ocean. So you can't own them. You can't own them at all, at all. Now, there is a public ownership. Anything related to the governments of countries, they are called public ownership. Now, private ownership is something related to people or to companies. So I have this T-shirt, for example, and this is a private ownership. I have this mic, and this is a private ownership. I have glasses, so this is a private ownership. No one can take it from me because that's called theft. So this is what they call as a private ownership in terms of money or products. Okay, now the second one is wealth. Wealth means the money, and the money you have. Mostly, it's not only actually the money, the gold you have, the money, the plants, if you have sheep or camels, if you have buildings, if you have land, they are all considered as part of the wealth. Okay, now, no gain without work. This is one of the major principles of Islam. You don't go on the street and then start begging people for money or for food, especially if you're healthy and young. So go and work. Find your own money. No gain without work. This is a very important thing. Now, the number 4 is the usury. Usury is like we discussed it in the class, but just like a quick I'll tell you something quickly. Usury is something when I give you, like, for example, $10 or 10 dirhams, and you need to return it to me as 12. So one money with money, and this is totally haram. Okay, inheritance is another source of economy in Islam for people. So inheritance, when you inherit, if a father and mother die, they actually you inherit them, whatever they have. Okay, zakah. Zakah is 2.5% of the money that you have for a full year without touching. So actually, you don't need that money, because you haven't used it for a full year, and this is how you need to pay 2.5%. Of course, there are other components of zakah related to camels and goats and plants, so we will not discuss that. It's only in general. Now, sadaqat, it's exactly the same. Anything you do, it's a charity. Anything you do other than zakah for poor people. Of course, sale. If you want to do sale and trading, number 7 and number 8, so sale and trading, we discussed them in detail. But in general terms, you have to have like a good, you have to have a clear contract when you sell something, or when you trade something. You have to be honest, you have to be on time, you have to bring the product actually you have agreed on. So if I'm asking for to buy an iPhone, for example, you don't bring me Galaxy, or you don't bring me a broken iPhone. This is part of cheating. So you have to be very careful from the Islam perspective. Now, spending rules. Spending rules is exactly the same as we said it before, but spending rules, just like a reminder. With spending rules, it means it's actually not only spending rules. It's like gaining and spending. So when you gain your money, you have to make sure that it's something halal. It's something good. It's something that from Islam point of view. So you don't steal money and you say, "Well, I got it." You don't steal money like that. You have to work, and you have to work good job. You don't work as a thief. You don't work in alcohol, for example. You don't sell alcohol and you say, "Oh, I have this money." So this is the first thing. And the spending, even if you get your money through halal ways, from good ways, when you spend them, you have to control. Islam controls the spending rules as well. So you have to spend the money in good ways as well, and in good manners too. So you don't work all day and like in a decent job, and then you get the salary and you go spend it on alcohol, or you burn it, for example. Get my point? Okay. And or you buy something and you harm others. So spending rules are important as well. Hoarders means the people like stingy people who actually have money. They don't need the money, and they save the money till they die. They don't even give it to the poor, so they call them hoarders. Okay. Now the second one is the 5 pillars of Islam. This is Shahada. You know that, all of you. This is Shahada. Prayers, zakat, fasting, and al-Hajj. Okay. Now another thing related to aspects of Islam, we talked about the source of our rules and behavior as Muslims come from the Holy Quran, and from the Sunnah, and from what Sahaba were doing, the followers of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ at his time. Now there's another concept which they call it as ijtihad, or diligence, ijtihad. Now what is ijtihad? Ijtihad means finding solutions and deriving new rules from new problems. This is what they call it as ijtihad. Okay. Now it can be done by qualified scholars only, so not anyone can actually do ijtihad or can make new rules. Now the new rules should be related to the Holy Quran and the Sunnah. So you have to understand the Holy Quran first, you have to understand the Sunnah and the behavior of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and then the behavior of the Sahaba, and then you derive the rule. You don't make a new rule like from nowhere. It has to be related to the Quran and the Sunnah. This is one of the examples. Fasting during the month of Holy Ramadan. It's a primary obligation for all Muslims, but there are some travelers. For example, if I travel from a place to another and I can't do fasting, Islam allows me to break my fast, and then I do it later after Ramadan. This is one of the major examples. Now, another example is that if you do actually travel from place to another, and you can't pray 4 rak'ahs for Dhuhr and 4 rak'ahs for Asr, so you can actually join them together and pray 2 rak'ahs here and 2 rak'ahs there. So it depends on the circumstances and situation that arise. Okay, characteristics of a Muslim. Of course, one of the things that Muslims should have is like the humility. It's a humble.